Today's guest is returning to the podcast. He is one of the most articulate men, I believe, of our time, between thought and oration. I don't know if there's anybody that can think and share as eloquently as him. We're really grateful to be here in his home country of Canada and to get to spend time with him again on the podcast. He is touring. You can check him out. He has a new book that he's working on. He has books that we'll put in the information below. Today's guest is Mr. Jordan Peterson.
Shine that light on you.
How do you diagnose alcoholism as a pathology? Well, the first thing you do is you look at amount and frequency, let's say, but that's not enough. It has to be a high amount, frequently, that causes substantial disruption to one or more important domains of life. So if you're wondering whether you're drinking too much, you think, well, is it compromising your health? Are your friends starting to object? Have you got in trouble with the law?
Is your wife mad?
Right, exactly. So is the behavior starting to produce negative consequences, even by your definition, or perhaps even more importantly by your definition? Then you'd say, well, any behavior that tends to be quite entertaining in the short term, but let's say not so good socially or in the long term, that's a vice. That's a vice. That's a vice. We all know that. There's lots of things like drinking is a great example. It's an absolute bloody blast, especially if you like alcohol. But, when I was a kid, I used to drink a fair bit, and I quit when I was about 24, 25, maybe a little later than that. And, I was out 3 or 4 times a week having just a fine time.
Drinking beer or whiskey?
Yeah. Usually beer. I like beer a lot, but whatever was available, fundamentally.
Anything wet.
Yeah. And at some point, especially as my professional career developed, I realized essentially, and this is also when I started my permanent relationship with Tammy, I thought, the only time I really do things I regret is when I'm drinking.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Well, that's a vice, man. It's like, it's not good for you, and especially not good if you're trying to aim up. Like, you couldn't do what you're doing.
No,
How old are you? You'd die at 27, like you would have died at 27.
That's when most people die,
exactly,
that have
and they die from vices, generally,
You were telling me that last time, one of the last times that we spoke.
That's a vice. 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 Vice.